Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So we meet again, but today we were talking about back-end application development. The last time we met, we've been talking about front end. Front end. So I think for this particular leg of the lecture, back-end application development, I think this is the only time we'll be talking. This is the only session we'll be looking at slides. From now on, we are just going to be only coding. We'll be doing the actual development. So this slide is just, we just have a couple of slides that we run through, and then from then we do some installations, and then we will do actual application development. I want us, before the end of this module, I want us to complete a certain project. We have a project on ground. I want us to actually do that, so that you see how actually an application is being developed right from the front end till the back end, full stack development. Those online, please, are you with us? All right. So in today's session, we will start by looking at introduction to back-end development. For those of us that are new to back-end development, you don't have anything to worry about. We are going to introduce back-end development. We'll look at what it is, and we look at everything about it. Those online, are you with us, please? There is no visual display online. See, that's the issue with this. We're having an issue with it's okay. Are you sure? Okay, is the okay. What about the projection? Okay. So next, so we'll be focusing on server-side logic. Mostly that is what the back-end development entails. If you remember, when we were talking about front-end development, we were all talking about the design, how it looks, the UI, UX, and all that. So, but on the back-end development, we were looking at the server side, the back-end, what happens behind. We were looking at database, how you create your database, you design a database for application and all that. I'm aware earlier on this morning, you had database, you were doing database, MongoDB, NoSQL database. But for this particular session, I want us to look at RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, particularly MySQL for this. So we're going to develop an application, which I want us to employ using that. And then we will look at integrating application, basically integrating the back end and the front end. How do we do that? How do you even host your application? All is what I want us to look at in this class, like technically. Are we good online?
Yes.
All right, please.
It's now.
Okay. All right. So, and particularly, I also want us to look at functionality. What do I mean by functionality? Like, this is basically the application or the project or the system we're trying to develop. Does it really function? If you send your data or you query your data from the database, does it really go? Can you really retrieve? Like all those kind of things, functionality, like when you enter your username and password for authentication, Does it really authenticate? So we are all going to look at security, of course, and then scalability of the application. These are all concerns of the back end. So let me just take a little step backward. When we were talking about front end, if you remember, we said front end basically entails what the application looks like, what you see, how it behaves to you, how it interacts to you.
User interface.
Yeah, the user interface as well as the user experience. So basically, the difference between the back end and the front end is that first of all, the front end languages are different. Let me use the word different from the back end languages. For front end, we talked about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You know that, right? HTML for designing the structure, CSS for styling as well as JavaScript for kind of animation and yeah, to animate and interaction to make it interactive. So, but for backend, we have languages and we have programming languages and scripting languages like Python, Ruby, Perl, PHP, even Java and Node and all that. They are there. So front end is asynchronous, has a asynchronous request and Ajax, while the back end mostly deal with server architecture. We all look at that. What is server architecture? Because when you have an application, when you have a system, let's say for example, I don't know, I like giving an example with, okay, let me use e-commerce for example. When you go on your computer system and then maybe you type jumia.com or you download the application and then you open the Jumia mobile application, what you see the products, right? You see everything. But those products, are they actually in that application? Are they inside a web browser? They are coming from somewhere. So how that system is designed to be fetching those information from that place, that's the architecture we're talking about. So we also look at that. So for front end, there's some specialized web editing softwares that they exist. And then for another thing for backend is database administration. Because when you're dealing with backend, you must have to have a database where the information is going, where the information is coming from. So that's why it's good as a back end developer to have a knowledge of database, right? To have a knowledge of database. And then we have a cross-browser issues. We have data, we have scalability on the back end. We have data transparency, backup, and all that. So we will be looking at all these by the grace of God. So the question is, for those of us that are new to it, what is back-end development? So back-end development basically refers to the server-side development of an application. The server side. What does that mean? Every application on the internet, let's say TikTok, like let me take for example the social media applications. We have Facebook, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, right? They are all originally hosted on the server somewhere else. What you have on your phone, the applications you have on your phone or the web browser, they are just the clients that receive information from that server. The account you create when you open in an Instagram account, you didn't create it on your phone. You created it on that server. The pictures you post, you are not posting it they don't remain on your phone. You're posting it on that server. That is why you can create an Instagram account on your phone and then you can still access it on somebody's phone, which means it's not actually on that phone. You can access it also online on a computer, on a tablet, anywhere you are around the world. You see, that basically means it's hosted somewhere else. So that's the server. So backend application development deals with that. So it focuses on managing the application's core functionalities, ensuring data processing and enabling seamless interaction between front end, which is the user interface, and then the back end database. Back end development is crucial as it determines the performance, Yes, it determines the performance of an application because, for example, like now, how you design your architecture may determine the performance of your application. How you program the communication between the client and the server, how you optimize all that process will determine the performance. Likewise, the scalability. Scalability means the capacity of your application to be expanded, to have a lot of, to have the base to carry a lot of requests, expansion and all that. For example, uh, let me use the social media for example. You don't want to imagine the number of users X have. Likewise, Instagram and all that. In tens of thousands, in hundreds of thousands, and even millions. In millions, right? So how does that system? That's the scalability we're talking about. You can scale it. You can always upgrade it. Probably, maybe when they started, they were looking at, they were targeting about, let's say, 200,000 users. But along the line, they see, oh, more 200,000 users. The system cannot take. How do we scale it to make it more to accept about 1 million users? Okay, we're almost existing about 1 million users. Let's make it like 3 more million users to be able to accommodate 3 million users. So that's what we're talking about. That's the scalability we're talking about. And the reliability. How reliable is it based on your servers? Like when you talk about reliability, we are talking about how prone is it to attack, crashing, failing. And let me use the word, how is it as in prone to failing, crashing and all that. So that's when you're talking about reliability. The less prone it is to, let's say, attack, failure, and all that. So that's the higher the reliability. You can say it's reliable. Yeah. So the purpose of backend actually, the backend provides the backbone of the application. That is just it. What you have on your phone, what you have is just like the face. That's why without internet, without network, you cannot connect to your social media. You just have the application to just keep maybe loading, or you don't have access to anything. That is just the face. But the back end is actually the backbone of the application that ensures the functionality, security, and then as well as the scalability. So those online, are you with us? All right. Yeah, good, right? So the core responsibilities for backend, like I mentioned earlier, is system architecture. How do you design your application, your system? Is it a two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture where you have the server, where you have the server somewhere else, the database somewhere else? How do you design the communication, the data communication flow between the server and the client, information fetching, information, providing and all that. Next, we have the business logic. Business logic basically means how you program your system. Sorry? Okay. Business logic basically means how you program your system to fetch the information, to carry the information, and all that, all those kind of things. So next we have core responsibility is mobile and web application backend development. You can basically, when we talk of this backend technology, presently we are just talking about that from in relation to mobile as well as web application. We have a third category of software, which is the desktop application. Presently, if I'm not mistaken, you hardly see any reasonable business that runs on a desktop application. So they are gradually going extinct because everything now is online. When you have a business, you want to be able to access everything about your business from anywhere you are, whether your house, your inventory, check your inventory from your house using your mobile phone at the comfort of your home, bedroom, anywhere. So that is it. We no longer have that. You just have to go onto a single computer in a particular place to be able to. No, 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 no. Time has changed. So another thing is for under the core responsibility of backend development is payment gateway configuration. We do transactions online. We buy electricity, right? We buy electricity, pay our DSTV subscriptions and all that, pay registrations and all that online. It's the back end that handles all that. When you integrate the back end technologies onto that, so it's the one that handle all that processes. E-commerce website, you make your payment and all that. So that handles all that. It's all done in the back end. And then lastly, we look at security and storage. We look at security and storage. The security of your application here, when we talk about secure data storage, we're talking about how is it going to attack from malicious hackers, right? So when you're securing your system, you have to do it from the back end, not the front end. The security is being done from the back end, not the front end. How is data accessible? How is data accessible to it? By malicious hackers and all that. How did you prevent data? Where do you store this data? And all that is handled by the back end. So the key components in back-end technologies involve programming languages. What languages are used in this coding, in programming your back-end, right? You know, earlier on for front end, we mentioned we have a CSS, we have HTML and all that, you know, yeah, React and all that. So yes, so those are different from back end. For back end is different. We will look at them also one by one. And then we have application programming interface. We call them APIs. We also look at them, what APIs are, what do they do? Another one is server. Server, we look at them, what actually they are. They are machines, you know, that give services to other machines, services. And then database, most importantly, which handles the data management. Which handles the data management. Please, are we good with the online people? Is it good? Are they following us?
Yeah.
The slide, are they? So what's wrong?
It's like that.
It's clear.
Yeah.
Are they on the same? Because
Yeah.
it's like,
Same page it was, yeah.
all right, that's great. So and then next we have functions. Functions. So the functionality of the application, right?
It ends.
Yeah. What do we want it to do? Okay, like I mentioned earlier, authentication, user authentication. Okay, you're storing other data, you know, you're retrieving data, you know, and all that functionalities, everything is in the back end. So let's start with programming languages. One of the programming languages we have for back-end development, we have the Node.js, the JavaScript runtime for building scalable applications. That's the Node. You can look it up. Maybe you can look it up, and then for it depends on your interest actually. You know, there are a lot of this programming language. It depends on interest, what you are interested in, what you want to work with, what you are doing with. Then we have Python. Python is also good. It's also a back-end programming language. You know, like actually Python is a multi-purpose. It's a general purpose programming language. You can use Python for a lot of things, so many things. Web application, mobile application, data science, you know, artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, everything. You can use Python. Python can go in all that. It's versatile here. It's versatile and easy to learn. Yes, actually, it's easy to learn. One of the easiest, if not the easiest, actually, Python, because most of the command and terminologies are in English languages. It's English language, but it's a fourth generation programming language. Yeah. Okay. Ideal for web application and AI. You see, ideal for web application and AI. Yeah. Even robotics. We do a lot of robotics with AI, sorry, with backend. And then we have Java also. You can use Java for backend development. Java is robust and platform independent. What it means by platform independent is that it runs on any kind of operating system, be it whether you're running on a Mac operating system, the Macintosh, or Linux or Windows. You can work with Java. It's platform independent, used in enterprise application. A lot of softwares projects around the globe run on Java. I think almost estimated about 3 billion devices run on Java. Java has been available for some time now, quite some time. I think almost how many years, please, if I'm not mistaken? Since for about 2 decades, and it's still very very key for all this massive enterprise application. All those use Java, yeah, security and all that kind of. We use Java for that. And then we have Ruby. We have Ruby.
The slide is not changing online.
The slide is not changing on that, right? I observed that. That was why I was asking earlier. But so, what could be the problem? Is it? Okay. I guess. Are we good? Okay. So can we move on? Hmm? All right. We should be carrying everybody along. All right. So another one popular programming language is PHP. PHP pre-hypertext preprocessor. PHP also has been used for some time, has been around for some time. Though there are newer technologies, but it has been available for some time. You've seen Facebook. Facebook was developed using PHP. A whole lot of applications has been running on PHP for so many times. It says PHP remains a widely used server-side scripting language, particularly for web development. Yes, actually, a lot of these e-commerce website, yeah, a lot of like 5, 10 years ago, I think almost the entire internet was running on PHP. I'm saying almost, like 10 years back, thereabouts, was running on PHP. Despite competition from newer technologies, right? PHP has continued to be relevant of its large community because of its large community, yes, vast ecosystem, and popular frameworks. Yes. So that's one good thing with PHP. I said almost the entire internet about a decade ago runs on PHP. So that is why it says because of its large community, right? I think those online don't. The slide doesn't change on the slideshow. No, it's because I moved from the slideshow. On the slideshow, it doesn't change online. I observed that. All right, so let's continue like this. Look at the slideshow. So PHP is common, it's easy and simple, and I think because of these reasons, I think for the project we'll be doing for this particular course, which I want us to do, I think we'll be using the PHP. We'll be using PHP for that. So another component, let's look at the application programming interfaces, the API. It is a set of rules and protocols that allow software application to communicate with each other. So basically, what it means here is that an API is a protocol that allows another different software, right, to communicate with another different software system. An example is, let me give you an example. Like now, you are running a business. Let's say you have a school, right? You want students to enroll in your school. But then you said every student must have a NIN, NIN, and you really want to verify that NIN. There's a portal that is NIMSI that they do have a NIN, right, to verify your NIN. So you can contact them. They'll give you an API, right, whereby from your registration portal of your school, you can just tell the student, enter your NIN, and if they enter their NIN, the system will connect with their own and verify your identity. That link, what connects the two systems together, is called the API, right? Yes, I think there are systems like that. I remember to do some registration online. Yes, one of anything like that requires an API, right? To determine one system to connect with another one like that. So that's like payment gateways is a very good example. You want to buy something online, and then it connects you to the another payment gateway like Remita. You want to make payment online from one website. It will now connect you to somewhere on Remita website. You make your payment, and then you are also redirected back to continue the process. That's API. That's what API does. API enables similar data exchange and integration between different systems. Basically, it's a communication bridge that connect different software systems, example, front end and back end, acts as an intermediary to process requests and deliver responses. Yeah. So there are different types of API. We have the REST API, Representational State Transfer Application Programming Interface. This particular kind of API is a way to allow applications to communicate with each other over the internet using a standard HTTP method. Yeah. So it is widely used for building web services and supports CRUD. CRUD is database operations. Basically, create, read, update, delete operations. That's what CRUD stands for. So that is what this API basically does. So next we have the GraphQL. It's also an alternative to the REST API for building applications. It was actually developed by Facebook. It allows clients to exchange, it allows clients to request exactly the data they need and nothing more. For example, now, let me go back to that example of you having maybe a school portal where you want to verify the identity before issuing admission. You can decide to say, okay, if you enter your NIN, the information I want from that your NIN details should only be, let's say, date of birth and address. You communicate with them, then they give you an API that will only be sending you information regarding the date of birth and address, for example, right? So yeah. So how you go about it? Usually you communicate with the other, you officially communicate with the other team, other software company or whatever. They are the ones that will give you that API. It's their system. They are the ones that will give you the API, and then you can integrate it inside your own. And then you can be getting this information. Next, we have the SOAP, Simple Object Access Protocol. It's a protocol for exchanging structured information in the web services. Unlike the REST and GraphQL, SOAP is more rigid and operates using XML-based messaging. It is often used in enterprise environment where security, transactional reliability, and compliance are critical. So let's quickly move about that. So the role of API basically, in all this we are saying, API connects front end and back end. That is the simple logic. Provides an endpoint for data exchange, like I mentioned earlier. So when we talk about back end, the next component is server. You must have to have a server in your architecture to communicate with your system. That is the actual backend, the server. The server usually stores and organizes data for client side. Facebook.com is hosted on a computer, on a system somewhere else. That system, that computer that Facebook.com is hosted is the server, right? All these ones we are having here, our mobile phones, our computers, with the exception of that only single one computer that has the actual Facebook.com on it, every other computer is a client. It's a client side. So you send the request from everywhere you are. You go to your browser, www.facebook.com. What it does, it goes to that computer. Behind that URL, there's an address, the IP address. Behind the URL is an IP address. So IP addressing does like the address to that particular computer. So it goes there, it fetches that site, and then it sends back, and that's what you see on your screens. That's what you see on your phones. That is how it works. So that is the server. So there are commonly used servers that include Jinx, Apache, Light, TPD, and then Microsoft IIS. So we're using one of these servers. I'll show you how you can also host your application. When you do it, you can access it via your web browser. However, you're not in the internet, so you're going to make it on a local host. Local host basically means on your machine, right? So we are going to do that. So for the types of servers, we have web servers. Those are the ones that handle the HTTP request. That's the web server. They handle the HTTP request. If you go to your browser before www, you notice that there is HTTPS, there's HTTPS. So those are the kind of servers that handle that. And then we have application server that is over the internet. And then we have application server also. Thank you. Like we have the Node.js, Django, and all those kind of things. Manage app logic. So next we have the data. We have the databases also as another component of the backend. Don't forget, we're looking at components of backend now. We mentioned the API. We mentioned servers. Now we mentioned programming languages. They are all components. What make the backend? What are required in building the backend. So now we are talking about databases, because there's no way an application will exist without a database. As long as it's online, even if it's not online, it has a database. There's no way, it's not possible. Unless it's a static, you just design the front end, design of all that. So the database stores and manages application data. All websites have data, right? Hence, they need a unified database to store them. Backend developers must know how to make relational connection between databases and the website. So the example of database, we have Oracle, we have MySQL, we have MongoDB. MongoDB is the one you learned today. And mind you, the database, there are two types of databases. We have the SQL database and NoSQL database. Yeah, and then that is the relational and non-relational. The non-relational, we usually call it document format database. Sorry?
That's an image or video.
Yes, the document format database. So basically, what the relational database means is the relation means table. That is what it is. The relation, it means table, table database, relational database, table database. That is what the basic. That is what it basically means. You know, a database is a collection of tables. Database is a collection of tables. That is just it. So for the relational, it's a table. Yeah, multiple tables that make the database information. Yeah. So we'll be looking at MySQL. MySQL also is the one popular database. I think it's how many percent of the internet? I think almost all. Most popular. I think almost, if I'm not mistaken, I stand to be corrected. I think more than 90% or 95% of systems on the internet are run on MySQL. Sorry? Yes. Yes. Most of them, I stand to be corrected, but that is it. So the roles of the database in backend actually they store information or data, they retrieve and then manage application data. Okay, just like I was giving an example types of database, we have the relational databases and we have the NoSQL databases. So for the relational databases, like I mentioned earlier, we have SQL, SQL, PostgreSQL, SQL also on its own, and a lot of the SQLite, Workbench, and all that. Yeah, they're all relational. But for NoSQL databases, there's the MongoDB that you looked at earlier, and then there's Firebase. There's Firebase also. So the core functionalities of backend is the backend provides services that include user authentication and authorization, right? Business logic implementation, security measures, data encryption, very important. Data encryption and validation. I want to send my profile. I want to send it my name, my date of birth, my address, my phone number, my BVN, my NIN, my every data about me. I want to send it to somebody online. For security reasons, encryption. It should be encrypted because we have the bad guys online that will just catch it and they will use it for whatever is it, identity theft. They use it for their own for some kind of crime and so many other things. So all that is handled by the back end. The encryption, the encryption and everything, you do it on the back end. When you're sending the data, you should take it, you should encrypt it, and then before sending it and all that. Yeah. So the data management, that's the code, and then integration with external services. So now we want to look at why is actually this backend important. So the backend is actually the foundation for functional, secure, and scalable application. Because first of all, if you don't have a backend, you just have a dummy. You just have a dummy application. Should I say a dummy application? Yeah, static and all that. And then secondly, it's important because it bridges the gap between the user and the data. It bridges the gap between the user and the data. So in backend, actually there are some future trends that are beginning to surface. Yeah. One is serverless architecture. Before, like originally, when you want to do all these things, you want to develop an entire system, with the back end and everything. First of all, you will have to look at, okay, you're getting a server, you put in the server software, you're trying to make it reliable. When you have a server, you should be 100% always online. It should never be online. That is the truth. Just imagine now, You want to access your bank, you want to make payment, you want to make transfer using your mobile application, and then the server is down. Just imagine that. You know the stress, right? I know what it means, right? And then the server is down. All our banking applications, they run on the server. Once the server is down, then we are messed up. That's just the truth. So because of that, we have the serverless architecture. What the banks usually do, they are running a kind of, let me say, they are running a kind of serverless architecture in the sense that they are not the ones that are hosting these servers. Most of the banks, almost not even most, almost all the banks in this country now, they don't host their server here in this country. Like they kind of there's third party, AWS, Azure, and all that. Because of reliability, it will cost them so much maintaining those servers here. They will have to keep them up online 24 hours, uninterrupted power supply. Because of that, they are going to be heated, because of they keep running. So they will have to maintain, make the server room cool. They will have to have redundancy. They will have to do a lot of things. So managing the server is a serious headache. It costs a lot, and of course they will have to ensure they provide security, very important to it and all that. So what they normally do, they kind of outsource the services from these providers like AWS, Microsoft Azure, and all those kind of things. Yeah, Roku. First is because you are very very sure that they will not fail you. They have steady light. Secondly, where the actual physical servers is, you don't even know. They are very, very secured. Thirdly, they don't have just one location for the server. They have redundancy. They might be in different continents. The host is like in different continents. If this one is messed up, the other one kicks. The other one is there to kick off. So there's no failure. There's no breach in communication. If this one fails, there's another one. So they usually spread across the globe. So it's not in one location. So that is how it is being done. So that is mostly what we call server architecture. But for now, if business wise, for now, if I'm to advise you want to host an application, I would say don't try to host it in house. Don't try that. Because even maintaining the server will run your business down. I said don't host it in house. In house. Because even the maintaining it in house now will also will suck a lot from you. Sorry?
Did it cost much?
Sorry?
Did it cost much?
Yes,
For a subscription.
for the subscription. No, 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 no. It depends on the services also you want, how you want it. For example, now there's Firebase. Firebase exists. A lot of applications run on it. So with Firebase, they provide you with authentication services. They provide you with data services. Different. They have Firestore. They have real-time database. They have storage where you can store your videos, images. They have analytics. They have messaging. It's entire back end on its own. You just subscribe to it, and then you have everything. You can then it's online already. They have hosting services. It's there. It exists. So for cost, so for financially wise, that's the best way to go, right? And then we have AI and machine learning integration. So so for AI and machine learning integration into the back end. So like now AI has come to stay, and it is everything, almost taking over everything because so that is another trend. So this AI can come in terms of the security, scalability of your application, reliability, and all that. It will just help you in all those kind of things. So what we'll do now at this point, I want us to actually go into physical development. I want us to look at an application or a system that will entail almost every kind of functionality. One thing with software development is you might develop a system, right, that has a lot of functionalities. And when you are given on some other task, some other applications, you might use the same logic. You might just need to use the same logic, yeah, to be using it, to be applying it somewhere to solve other problem, rather than have to. Because for example, now what I mean by what I just said, right now is that, for example, I might develop, let's say, a hotel management system, right? Okay, and somebody is trying to develop a library management system or an inventory system. Of course, there's database. All of them, there's database. You add to database, you remove to database, you edit. You understand? Generate report. So all these kind of things, the adding to the database, the removing to the database, and all these kind of operations, they are like common, right? So once you have it, once you've done it somewhere else, you can always do it in any other place. You can do it in any other place. So first of all, to begin with this, the actual development, what I want us to do practical. I want everybody to have us. How many of us do not have a system that we are going to use now? Please, everybody should have a system. Because what I want us now, I want us to download the server we are going to use for this, for the PHP.
Sorry, sir, a question. Um, Although I will digress a bit. In most of the movies that we watch, the American movies, Hollywood, they tend to use servers a lot. And in the way that they show us the server, it's a place where there are so many land connection, all these wild land connections like that, showing lights, green light blinking. It doesn't mean that it has to be so close to, I don't know, it looks complicated. It doesn't look as easy as having a computer in the room.
Okay, okay. So the concept is we have what we call a data center, right? I wish we can. I don't know. For those of us that are online, I don't know how we are going to use that. If I don't know whether you noticed out here, we have a rack by that wall. We have a rack, right? There's a computer. Like there's this blade computers. They are Should we get it, please? Maybe kind of example. Help me get the blade. Maybe you can stand up, take a look at the rack and see, right? So there are computers slotted in them. Sorry, let me just for those of us online, please sorry, give us a minute. Yes. So sorry, our online people. We're back. Well, somebody said we went for excursion. So that's it's an advantage of being on site. So now I want us to go to please, can you see my screen online, people? Abdul, online? Can you see the screen? Okay, let's go to XAMPP. Okay, let's just go to Google and search XAMPP. XAMPP. Okay, and then you see this. I'm an online go.
Online, you have to share it. They are not seeing.
Oh, oh my God! Please let this lady know that I'm not you. Because if I'm sharing now, she has to approve. Please let her. Yes, please. Okay, please. You see my screen. So you just download for your operating system. You see up here it says download XAMPP for Windows, XAMPP for Linux, XAMPP for Mac OS. It's not sharing. Let's go to Google, type XAMPP, XAMPP. Have you contacted her? Okay, she has not.
This is out for
No, for Windows. We are using Windows. It's cross-platform. I'm coming, please. I just want to get this for the online. I want my people online to be with us. Is that responding? What is the disadvantage of it? Is everyone downloading sound? All right. So basically, right, this is a web server that you use to host your application online. Yes, this particular one you are downloading.
Locally.
Sorry? No, for this project locally, but you can host it online. It can go online, but for now we are going to work with the local host, where you can host it locally. What is the answer? It's a framework of a one-time first. It's XAMPP, XAMPP. What it is? I think say anything. Okay, look at the site here. So apachefriends.org for my friends online, or just go to Google, search XAMPP, and then click on the apachefriends.org and then download it for your operating system. Sorry? Okay, it's a web server that allows you to host your application or your software online. Okay, I just got another idea. Let's look at developing an e-commerce system. Would that be fine? All right, okay. Let's look at developing an e-commerce system. Okay. Yeah. For our ladies here that have shops, so you can advertise your nails, bags, shoes, everything. You can just take your business to the next level. So once that is done, you can go to your download and then install it. Double click on it, the installer, to install it. I also don't have it, but I've downloaded it, so I want to install it right now. So let's create a shop for Kunu Aya and Zoboba. Yes. So basically, once you install XAMPP, it will install my SQL for you. So my SQL is a database, right? Sorry? No. If you have SQL before, that's fine. Like, it has nothing to do with that. It will keep it aside because this one, my SQL, is going to be running on the server, right? It's going to be running on the server. This one, the SQL. All right, e-commerce system. So I'm installing mine. All right, I'm installing XAMPP.
So for those of you that have just do next. Don't change anything. Yeah, it's already. Okay.
Now, online people, hope you are with us. We are done installing XAMPP. We are going to commence with the practical development of an e-commerce website, everything from scratch. Hope everyone is with us. So for those of you that have it already, please be patient with us. Please be patient with us for those of you that already have it. Some of them are asking for the attendance online. Okay, we are almost done installing. Almost everyone is almost done installing. We'll soon move on.
Exam control panel. And that's the first page of the instructions.
Yeah. Okay, so that is is yours done? Okay. It's your computer again. You having issues with the internet? So I think on this course, from this point on, we will just be doing development. We'll just be doing visual development, practical. Do you want to allow public and private networks to access English blockchain? All right, so mine has completed successful. Okay, so I'm going to launch the XAMPP control panel. So when you launch the control panel, this is what you see. When you launch the XAMPP application, this is what you see. Can we move on? How many of us are still installing? All right. So online, are you with us? Is everybody on? Are we on the same page? All right. A little bit more patience, please, for those of our friends online. We are almost done installing. So, but after installing my screen, look at my screen to see how the control panel looks. So basically, it's like it's a web server. It's a server system, right? That will host your application. So what we are going to be doing, we'll be developing it on the server inside this application. So you will see, as a local host, because it's a server, once he developed his own, you on the other end can view, can connect and then view. If you instead of www dot, because it's not actual, because you don't have a domain name, you can just key in the IP address of your computer, and you'll be seeing what he did. You'll be seeing what it will be as if it's online. It's actually online, but not really on the internet, because you didn't buy any domain name, www dot something. So you are using the actual IPs now. This IP, because like for example now, let me show you how it works. This is just like, because I'm using Chrome. Okay, this is Chrome. Let me not use Chrome because Chrome is owned by Google, right? Let me use Edge. You see, for every site you want to visit to, you type the URL, right? www. Then there's what you call DNS. Actually, we are not in networking, so but let me just touch it. There's what you call a DNS, domain name system. Basically, the domain name system, what it means is that for every address, every URL, every site, it is mapped to an IP address, right? It is mapped to an IP address. For example, if you go to your address, instead of typing google.com, but the IP address of Google, well, it's 8.8.8. It's 8.8.8, right? .8. If you go to your browser and type 8.8.8.8, it's equivalent to google.com. It will take you to Google's website. So for every website, that is how it is. So because we are almost to remember all these things, IP address for everything, you want to go to GT Bank portal, you have to remember their IP address. So it has now been mapped. It's what we call the domain name system. The domain name system is mapping every address, every www.com to the IP address of that host. So it's easier to remember for us as humans. So you see now, just try it on your computer. If you 8.8.8.8, it will take you to Google. So just another number, if you type it, anyway, it will take you to that address. I can't remember Facebook, but also Facebook has, I can't remember, rather than Facebook.com, you can just go. That's onto another side. That's networking. That's on the side of networking. That's another thing. So we will not go into that.
It looks different than the normal.
It looks different. Yes. They actually, I think they made some changes. Enter the menu, like example, the IP address. But initially, it used to take you to the actual, to the actual Google this thing. Yeah. Okay. After installation, this is what you see, right? Okay. On the top, you see Apache, right? Apache, it's a server. So we are going to start Apache, and then you see my SQL, right? So what we do now is click on start. You start Apache, and then you start my SQL. Click on start in front of click on start. You see? Start for Apache and start for SQL. So once you click, you start, right? Uh-uh. All right, did you start it?
Yes.
Okay. So one thing is, after starting it, right, go to your web browser. If you go to your web browser, just type localhost. Type localhost. Then if you see this, then it has been successfully installed. Once you type localhost and you see this, which means it has been successfully installed. Those online, are you with us? Yes. Just type localhost, and if this appears, then your XAMPP has been successfully installed. All right.
Without space.
Yes, without space. Localhost. I mean, online. Are we good? All right. So up here you see my PHP my admin, right? You see PHP my admin.
Yes, sir.
Are we good? Okay, now click on the PHP my admin. So basically, you see this screen. The PHP my admin is just my SQL database. It's online. So this, what we normally do is you start with your database, start with the design of your application, how the database of your application will look like, the nature of stuff and all that. But you're left behind. All right, do quick and catch up. So you see PHP my admin, and then so mind you, right, to be able to view what you are doing, the application you are doing, to be able to make it available, visible to you and to everyone on the network, right? So you go to the file, you go to the location where you installed XAMPP, right? Program files. On your computer, you go to the location where you installed the XAMPP.
Yours was before the program started.
Sorry?
Before the program started. The last-
Ah, thank you very much. I thought I installed it inside program. You come to this location where you installed the XAMPP, you see a file htdocs. You see htdocs. So basically, this htdocs, if you put your project here, it's going live. What I mean by it's going live, it's going to be accessible on the network. So your project should be created there. So you just call the address. For example, now what we normally do is like now the IP address of your computer, right? And then will bring you to this HPDocs that is on the server, and then / on that is on the browser / the name of the folder of your project. So for example, now let's go to the htdocs. So inside this htdocs, this is where you create your project, right? This is where you create your project inside the htdocs. Are you with us, my friends online? All right. So you cannot maybe do a right click and then create another folder in here. Let's call it e-commerce. Say e-commerce _ system, and then we can call it e-commerce system. Let's create a folder in here. E-commerce system. Inside the htdocs, right? All right, I'm coming. Hold on. Please let me.
I feel like it's. No worry, don't worry. Yeah, like,
So can we move on? Although some of our friends are having some challenges, please a little bit patience from our friends online. If you're still with us.
Are they supposed to speak out?
Yes, please. Yes, this folder, right? E-commerce inside HT docs to be specific, please. You don't have to really call it. You don't really have to call it what I call it. You can call it anything. You can name it anything, but of course you will have to make reference to it later. I think it has been installed right there, right? I've seen it running the. Are you good? What's wrong? Let me see. You what? You know, the good thing about this, if you do it yourself, you always remember how to do it, and you are doing it once. This is the first time, so you are doing it once, and then you will not forget also. Okay. You can't even download it. Okay, yes, it work. Yes, yes, I will send you. I'll send you a link.
So right now, I can open the web.
Yes, you can open the web. Just open the new tab. Or you can type 127.0.0.1. Still the same thing. That's your loopback address.
Just that's, oh,
Yes, you started the server, right? You are searching the
okay,
internet.
it's instead of you,
You are searching the internet.
not instead of you creating.
So you now open PHP my admin. However, please show him you can go to the location where the XAMPP is installed. Show him under C and all that. Just go to the location. So that folder I'm talking about inside the XAMPP, the HT docs, basically that is where your application will be developed and it will be hosted from there. So that is how you'll be able to view it inside your browser. If it's not there, it cannot be viewed inside the browser. Yes, please. The naming convention, you should not have space. If there's any need for space, it should be underscore. There's no spaces. If there's any need for space, it should be underscore. Yes. So once you enter here, just right click, also create a new file. You can call it a text document, index .php. No file, not a folder, a file. Right click inside that. If you right click inside and then you create another file, index.php. So what this means, index.php, what it means is that it's the very first page that appears when your system is run. When you go to facebook.com. Sorry, no, I'm coming. Or you know, text document. Just create a text document. Yeah, create a text document and then name it index.php. So this is where we are going to write our first code. Basically, any website you go to, any system you go to, immediately you type www.facebook.com, whether jumia.com and all that. What you see is the index page that appears. That's the index page. So that is the very first thing that runs inside this folder, the index.php, index file. All right, please let me wait for you to get there. Our friends online, are we there? Are we together? All right. So this in this session, practically we will see front end, and back end at the same time. We are going to be doing full stack. Yes, we are going to be doing full stack. We do the structure, the styling, and then we go back to the back end. We do the authentication, all those kind of things, security and other. Yes, the database, everything. We are going to do it. All right, so are you there? Yes. All right. Okay. All right, please go ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's move it. Let's move it. So, I want us to use the normal, what I prefer to write codes with, Visual Studio. So I'm sure, like those of you using the desktop, I think you should have Visual Studio on the computers. So what will actually happen? But before then, okay, let's continue. Before then, you can open this file. Do maybe right click, and then open with. Let's open with Visual Studio. Yeah, the index. Open the index file with Visual Studio, right click, and then open with Visual Studio. Yes. I forgot how to install PHP.
Are we using PHP?
Sorry,
PHP is not installed.
it's not installed. So if it prompts that you did not install PHP, then go to your browser, type PHP. If you got a prompt that you don't have PHP installed, please go to your browser and then search PHP. You see this, it will appear then PHP. Click php.net and then click on download. So here on the screen you see it says PHP, right? A popular general purpose scripting language that is especially suited for web development, right? Fast, reliable, and fast, flexible, and pragmatic. PHP powers everything from your blog to the most popular. You see what my statement, what I said earlier. PHP powers everything from your blog to the most popular websites in the world. Facebook 100% was developed using PHP. So please, if you don't have that installed, go click on install, download. And then there is a new update. They even have one of the latest updates, 16th January. This 16th January 2025. That's like 9 days back. That was their last update, 9 days back. Yeah. Okay, go to your browser, just search for PHP. All right. Because it's like a zip file, so it's like a zip. It's like they extract it. Extract it. Yeah, but how is it? Yes. But you have to extract it because this is a zip file. All right, right click and then so what you'll be downloading at the moment, this is a zipped file, right? So of course you download a zip, you must have to unzip it. You must have to extract it. So I downloaded it. Okay. So after downloading it, after opening it, then you have to unzip it. Right click on it. Right click. Yes. It's working now, right? Great. All right. We changed the port. Okay. So before, let's not waste so much time. So for those of us that are installing PHP, when the installation is going on, let's move on. So go back to your browser where you opened PHP My Admin. As the installation is going on, so that we don't waste so much time, please go back to your browser. Yeah, once it's finished extracting, you go to the installer, go to the location you extracted it, and then go and click the installer to install it. Yes, please. Okay, go to the installer. Down. Go to the installer. Yes, actually. Sorry? So let's continue. Time is going. Time is not really on our side, right? Yeah. So let's go. I personally like to work with Visual Studio Code. So and I'm seeing that a lot of you here are also having Visual Studio Code. So I think that's a very good one. So we are going to be on the same page. I hope my friends online, we are good. Our friends online. So are we good to go? Okay. How I got to this place is in your from your Visual Studio Code, the screen, right? You see at the extreme left, there are some menus, right? Here at the extreme left. So on the one, this one, the last one that says extensions, there should be. You see extensions. Okay, so you click on extensions, and then on the search bar on top, you just type PHP. So it will allow you to install some PHP plugins. Install IntelliSense. Sorry? Okay. From this is what you have, right? By default.
Yes. We're all here, yes?
Then you see here at the extreme left of the screen, my friends online who were together, my people online.
Primary side, yes. Yeah, I'm not sure, yes, so, yes.
So we are here, right? We have a lot of friends hanging behind, and I want us to carry everybody along. Yes, that will just be fun, right? Correct. Okay. So can we move on? All right. So basically, we are going to write our code here. Everything. So we are going to look at connecting to our database from here. We use our code to connect to the database, right? And then we design the interface and everything. So to do that, let's create the database before we can now come back here and then start coding. Okay, yeah, let's do it like that. Let's create the database first, and then we do the connection from here, and then we continue with our coding. So please go back to your browser where you have this localhost PHP my admin, where you have this. No, you have PHP my admin. Just go to your browser, type localhost. Go to your browser, type localhost. This will appear. And then, sorry, if you type localhost, that screen will appear. At the top, you see PHP my admin. Or you can just go to your localhost /PHP my admin. So you now come here, click new here. New. At the extreme left of the screen, you see new. You click on new. It says, welcome to my PHP my admin. My SQL set cannot connect invalid settings. Well, I have no connection could be made because the target machine activity is listed. Connection so then in that case, let my XAMPP. You see, so my SQL server is down. That is why. Remember, we started it, right?
Yes.
And now it has shut down by itself. Yeah, this may be due to the port blocked port. Missing dependencies, improper privilege, or shut down. Okay. All right. So just click on start again. If there's no any other problem, it will continue. But if there's problem, it will refuse to start. Okay. So it's now back up and running. All right. So click on new.
Yes.
Right. So always when you have issues like this, always check your server. Yeah, XAMPP server, whether it's wrong. We are not. Oh, wow. We have to be together. So we are here, right?
Yes, sir.
So we are going to create the database. Okay. So here you see it says create database. Here, right? Create database. So the name of the database. What do we call the database now?
E-commerce DB.
Okay, let's say e-commerce, right? E-commerce underscore DB, right? That is that is e-commerce underscore DB. Okay, so you can just come on here, just come here, and then after doing that, you click create. If you click create, it say database created, right? And then it will show you this screen here. Okay, what I did is you just put the database name. Just you can name it. And okay, let's put it as e-commerce DB, right? E-commerce DB. No, don't worry. So now it will come here. It's just create new table. So these are the table we are going to create. We can decide to say now. We can decide to say login table, right? Login table, or we can call it user table. This is the table that when the user is registered, they create his username and password will be on this table. Maybe his name, email address, username, and password. So when you so in any application, when you enter your username and you enter your password, it goes to this table to check. Does this email or username exist? Yes, it exists. Does it match the email you entered? Yes. If it matches the email you entered, then it will now give you access. If it doesn't match the email address and then the password entered, right? Then it will return an error message for you. You entered an incorrect password, invalid username, or whatever the error message that is there. So now let's go ahead. Let's create a table. So let's call it login table. Login. Let's call it login underscore table. Right? And then this that is the table name. So next is the columns. How many columns is the table supposed to have? How many columns do we want that table to have? 8. Okay. So what and what are we supposed to have on that 8 table column? No, as in
Username and password.
yeah, no. Actually it depends like whether, like I said, it can be depending on how you want to design your application. You can have you can call it a user table. You should have maybe the details of the user, maybe the name, the email address, the password, the username, username, and so many other things. But it depends. So let's use the 8, right? 8 will be much, but let's change it to from login. Let's make it user table. Let's make it user table rather than login table. Change it from user underscore table, and then let's make it 8 columns. And then after making it 8 columns, you click create. Sorry. All right. So after clicking create 8 columns, all right. Yes. Yes, you can do that. You can do that. I will show you how to do that. You use this structure, this option, but I'll show you how to do that. Yes. So now, after being redirected to this screen, here you see name, right? You see name. That is the name of the column, right? Here you see type. The type of the data that particular column should hold, right? Is it integer? Is it boolean? Is it varchar? Variable character, right? Is it string? So so this one, length or value, for every field what is the length of characters it will hold. There's a limitation, right? For example, for email address, is there anybody that has up to 200 characters in his email address? So probably, let's say for email address, let's say you look at 50. Okay, let's say 50 is reasonable. But for address, if you want a very, very descriptive address, you can make it up to 200, right? The phone number, it's 11, right? So that is the name of this one. And then for this one, default. Default means, do you want it to be null? Null, which means, do you want it to be an empty or you don't want it to be empty? That user must provide that information. You understand? By fire, by force, you must provide that information before. So yeah, you can make it null, denied, or whatever. Sorry? No. If you make it null, which means no, it's not compulsory. It can be blank. As in, yeah, it can be empty. And then additionally,
so the question is, what make it compulsory? What will be the option to choose? As defined?
if you want to make it
Compulsory, like something required to read.
mandatory, right?
Yes.
You can do that in two ways. I will show you. Right from the front end, you can do that, and yes, and then you can do that from the back end, which is here, like the database, right? For example, here you see another option that says none. That says none. This one null is only this one, not right? So if I tick this, if I check this null, right, which means the user can just skip, doesn't really need to provide that information. You can just move it. You can just move on. But when I untick this, the user he must provide that information before he can proceed, right? So and then we have index here. Index. You see the options. You have primary key. We have uniques. So you have unique. We have index and all that. So let me explain what each and every one it means. Primary key in a database, right, is a kind of unique identifier that must be provided. For example, in this class, we have our names, right? All right. Let's say we have our educational qualifications, right? So this comes in whereby in database there's what we call normalization. Normalization is basically like trying to break a table to contain information that is only relevant, related type of information on a single table. For example, now we can have our table. What do we call it? Let's say participant table. Our data can be a lot. We want to have everything about us. Our school, where we school, our school ID, our course, the year we started, the way you graduated, and all that. Can we put everything on inside under the same table, like employee, like okay, participant table? We have our name, we have our email address, phone number, right? Phone number, and then other biodata, place of birth, and so many other things. And then we also want information, like detailed information about our background in terms of school, the year we started school, the year we graduated, our class of degree, so many kind of thing, other information. And then probably another kind of maybe work information, related work information, where we are working, the year we joined, which grade level we are, a lot of information related to our work. It's not usually nice to pack everything under the same table. So we just say, okay, this table is for our personal data, right? This table is for our maybe educational related kind of data. This table, biodata, this table is also related to our work. This table is also related to our family kind of thing. So this primary key, we have different tables. So this primary key is the one that will link the data from this table to this table to this table. If the primary key, if let's say you are number three on the first table, so the number three, so this information doesn't have to be repeated on the other table. It just have to be number three. So the number three here links to number three on that table, links to number three on that table. It's the same person, links to number three on that person. So that is that is the primary key. With the key, a value that links to another table, a value from table one that links to another table, links to another table. That is the primary. That is the primary key, right? So we have this unique. Unique. Basically, what it means is that it's not a primary key, right? And this primary key must be unique, mind you. The primary key must be unique. Of course, in the database table, you are number three on this table. So on that table, you must be number three. On that other table, you must be number three on across all the other tables. Yeah, because that is what is connecting the data. Yeah. So you cannot be number three on this table and then you be number four on this table, and then everything is mixed up. Everything mixed up. So that is how it's goes. That is the primary key, the one that links one table to another table. For example, now I want to query an information about your education. I want to query about your educational information about you. So from this table, I will say, okay, with index number, select star from this table where so person is, where so number is number three. So it will go and fetch the information from that number where you are number three, from this number three, and then it will join everything and provide the answer for you. It's still the same person, right? So that is it. But for unique, it's not a primary key, but it has to be unique. There cannot be repetition. There cannot be two people having the same kind of data. For example, email address or phone number. Yes, right? Okay, I want to maybe you're applying for maybe a contract, right? And one thing is, of course, no two contractors maybe that are coming must have the same email address. So I can say when I'm creating this kind of form, I can say, okay, the email address must be unique to avoid people maybe making same person making same multiple applications, right? I can say, okay, this email address must be unique. So that is the key difference between the primary key and unique index. So those are the major primary that you be concerned with in the database. So for index, the full text and then spatial, you don't really use them. You don't really need them. You don't really use them. So that is just it. So for this one, we have AI. What does AI means? No, it's not artificial intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence. Can somebody guess? Who said that? Yeah, that's auto increment. That is what it means. No, actually, it means auto increment. So what it means, what this auto increment means is that we're adding data to the table, right? And okay, we're adding number one. We are going to number two. So the database, this one should automatically be increasing the number for us. We don't have to be providing the number. It should automatically increase the number for us. For example, when you're applying for something online, an application, right? You have application ID. We can decide to say, okay, let's make the application ID this format, ideas 001, right? So we are going with this auto increment. When we select this auto increment, so when another person submits the application, it will automatically be 2. Another person submit automatically be 3. Another person submit automatically be 4. So we don't have to be issuing it by ourselves or manually. So the system will automatically be increasing the records in the database and providing the number. Yeah, automatically. It will be increasing it automatically. So and then we have comments, we have virtuality, more columns and all that. So with all these ones, we really don't they are just extra stuff. We don't really need them. So now we are creating user table, right? So we can say serial, right? Serial number. We can say serial number. Cool. Let's make this real number integer. Let's leave it at integer, right? So the value, we don't know how many we are going to be. We might be up to 1,000. We might be less than we might be 100. So it depends on the target, right? So let's say for 100 is 3 figures. For 1,000 is 4 figures, right? So let's say let's say mind you, it's digits. It's based on digits. For 100 is 3, right? So you can say 3. We can say it should have a length of 3 digits. If you put 1,000, that's like 4 digits, right? So that's how it's supposed to be. Okay. So, and then for this default, we leave it at that. What you are mostly concerned with is the name, the type, the length, and then probably, okay, because this one is so important, let's make it a primary key. It should be a primary key, right? Okay, and let's make it auto increment, and then you can click on auto increment. You select auto increment, right? Okay, so let's move to the next. Okay, next then we have name, right? I don't want us to, we should have first name, middle name, last name, but let's just make it name, right? Let's just make it name. All right, we have name. So name is on the name is of the character. It's of the data type character. Sorry, variable character. We call it varchar. Yeah. Sorry? You just tick it. You just tick it. This one, and it should be a primary key. So once you put it as primary key, it's automatically unique, right? It's automatically unique. Okay. So for name, the type should be a varchar. Varchar means variable character. So anyway, now, all right. So for length, name. What is the reasonable amount of characters that a name should have?
Let's just put 50.
50. All right. So let's say 50. Yeah, that is true. The name 50. Yes. So for this one, for this one we don't really need it, but name, of course, name cannot be null. Yeah. So we leave it like this. So the next one, after name, we can say email. You can say email, and then also email is of the type variable character. Variable characters, right? For email, let's give it 100 or 120. Let's give it 120, right? So and then after email, let's say phone number. Let's say phone number. Phone number is of the data type, let's leave it at int. Yes, integer. So phone number is usually 11. Yeah, excluding the country code. With the country code, it's going to be like 15. No, you remove the first zero. You now 234 replaces the, yeah, plus 234 replaces the zero. So that will be 15, right? All right. Okay. So we can decide to say this should be unique, right? We can decide to say, okay, let it be unique. Let it be unique. Then what again? We can decide to say we have 8, right? So let's say, mind you, you don't have to complete everything. As in what you don't have to complete everything. And per adventure, when you want to add a new column, look here. So you can add here. You can add a column. You see, this is one. When you click on go, it will add another column for you. If it's not enough, that's if it's not enough for you. So let's now say password. Let's now say password. Okay, our password should be variable character, because passwords can be alphanumeric, right? It can have special characters, everything. So it can go in here. So variable characters, this is here. How long do you want the password to be? 20, 40, 10 characters? Okay. Okay, so let's put it there, right? So okay, we have 3 more to go, and then what next? Or should we leave it like this? You understand the point, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's move on. Let's move on.
How does someone make it compulsory? You must have the capital letter, must have number case, all those things that they're saying. Can we make it
Okay,
here?
that is from the front end.
Okay.
That is from the front end. Yes. Yes, password doesn't have to be unique. We decide to make it, but it doesn't have to be unique.
Now we can find it.
Yeah, email should be unique. Very, very importantly, please mind you, very importantly, the name, no spaces, please, on the column names here. No spaces. If there should be space, it must be on an underscore, please. If not, you get an error. If not, it will not even work. Sorry?
There'll be small letters, upper and small.
No, conventionally it should be small letters. You can put capital letters, but it should be small letters conventionally. And please, no spaces. No spaces. If there must be space, let it be an underscore. Let it be underscore. So once you're done, here at the bottom here you have save.
What about the storage?
Sorry? The storage engine. Okay. That's the engine that is used to store the data. There. So in this format. Yes. So you don't have anything to worry about that. You don't have any business. That's tech. It's like, sorry? Email. Yeah, email. You should make email unique. Email should be unique. If you want. Okay. No. You don't need to tick, because email cannot be auto increment. Auto increment is only usually for numbers, serial numbers and all that.
Range number.
Range number, yes. Range bar. RANGE. Yes, you can make it auto increment. So let's say, let me make the email unique, right? All right. So once that is done, do we have password so that we don't? We have email. Okay, let's use. Okay, in the system, let's use email, right, and password for authentication. Let's design it like that. So if you have password, then you can go save. It says what? Incorrect single distribution. Okay. You put hyphen. Please no dash underscore. I want. Yes, please click save. If you click save, you see something like this. Please no hyphen, no hyphen, only on the underscore. Syria. Phone number. Okay, table name underscore. And then there should be underscore between user and table. Yes, please. Number. Yes. So I think for this class we'll stop here. We continue from next class because it's already time. Sorry.
Someone said that the class ends January. We have February next class.
Please, don't worry. Yeah.
So,
So as in that will be next week.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll meet. This is not the end of the class. Like, oh, as in for today's session. That's what I mean.
Okay.
I mean for today's session, not the entire class.
Yeah.
Yes. So we are going to stop here and then we continue from the next class. Well, let's see. Like, tell me.
Have you already attendance? Attendance. This was the attendance.
So for our friends online, please, we are continuing this next class. So I guess from next class we will be able to have something up running because now we already have the database. So from the next class we do the connection, and then we carry on from there. The development, we start the development by next class. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, and God bless you.
Yes.